Hello viewers, another beautiful day. Yeah, hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? What's up gamers? Look, the Xbox One is the world's first disposable console. Xbox One. This console, the Xbox One, the world's first disposable console. So you're saying disposable? What do you mean? What I mean is this: when the Xbox One came out, up until the decision of Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, when the UK came out and said their decision of Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard is not based on the FTC, but we all know that's a lie, right? What I mean is this: from the time the Xbox One came out up until the decision, you had no control over the system. The console was disposable. It means that Microsoft was charging you for off and online play at the same time. You never had control. You never had control of this system. So you went to the store and bought you an Xbox One for about $400 or $500, but you never had control of it. The network administrators had full control of the system, and they were charging you for off and online play at the same time. Okay, so the only way to play this system at the time, from the time the Xbox One came out and up until the UK's decision on the Activision Blizzard's court case, you had no control over the system. The only way to play this was unless this console was connected to the internet. So they were charging you for off and online play at the same time. Online play means that you're on the internet wirelessly with an internet connection. You're on the internet wired, meaning cable, and you're using the internet. That's online. Offline now means that there is no internet connection wirelessly, and there's no internet connection cable-wise. If they gave you an option, if you're on the internet and they give you an option for offline, that's not offline. You're still online. If they give you an option for offline and they're telling you, oh, you can turn off the online and be offline at the same time, that's not offline. You're still online on the internet. Offline means that there's no internet connection whatsoever, wirelessly or cable. So with this console, Microsoft Corporation was charging the consumer for off and online play. And when the consumer went to the store, whether it's, say, GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, Target, or even Amazon, to go buy one of these, they never had control of the system. The network administrators had control of the system. Okay, and the only way to use the system at that time, from the time the system came out up until the UK's decision in the Activision Blizzard court case, the only way to use this system was to be online. So Microsoft was sitting there charging you for off and online play at the same time. So then there was another layer to this. It was the console bans. Because when Microsoft banned you on Xbox One, they wanted you to go out and buy a brand new console. Right? When they ban you, you can't use the console anymore. It's dead. You have no control over it. Right? It sits there like a brick. You cannot use it. So what they wanted you to do now was run to the store and buy a brand new console. And when you do that too now, Microsoft steal your old account from you. And they give you and then you got to come up with a new email address and a new in a new account, and they'll give you a fake name, and then you have to change it. So all that progress that you made on that console that you got so-called banned for, it's gone. You got to start all over. Okay, that's what they wanted you to do. And while they're also doing that now, you still had no control over the system. You couldn't take a physical disc and play it offline. Offline meaning that there is no internet connection, and there's no wirelessly, and there's no internet connection cable wise. You could not play a physical game offline, and they were charging you. So when they ban you now, and let's say you got 100 games on your let's say you got 100 games on your hard drive that you paid for. You paid for them in different prices. They're different games. They wanted you to repurchase those games all over again. And nobody saw this. There were so many people on the internet doing a lot of talking about the console ban, but none of them addressed it like the way I did it. Okay? I made 4 videos about this. They were charging you for off and online, they were charging you for off and online play. You never had control of the system, and then there's a console ban on top of that. And then they wanted you to repurchase those games. Every single one of them. So guess what they start doing now when I came at them, when I came at Microsoft. Here's what they ask you on the Xbox One. Are you planning to use your hard drive on multiple consoles? Why do you think they're doing that? It's because I came at them. Because I guess they thought that nobody out in the world understands the internet. Well, they are dead wrong. The Xbox One was the world's first disposable console ever. The world's first disposable console ever, and you had no control over it. So right up until the UK's decision in the Activision Blizzard court case, when I did some videos on this earlier, they were trying to downplay it like it wasn't affecting them. It was affecting them, okay? And they were daggers, and I threw it right at them to let them know I'm not to be played with. Look, they were when I threw those videos, they were daggers. So now, all of a sudden now, you can play your physical games offline. But before, you couldn't. Okay? The videos that I did prior to this, earlier, they were daggers. And I threw it right at them. I went around the internet and I was looking at people to see who was really addressing this. Many people were talking about DRMs. Many people were talking about DRMs. But they weren't addressing the bigger issue at hand. Microsoft had a monopoly on the consumer. And nobody knew this. So what I did was study this console and try to figure out what's going on here. And once I did, I'm in attack mode. Okay? Microsoft, the Xbox One is the world's first disposable console. And they had it in layers. You had no control over the system. They were charging you for off and online play. Then there was a console ban on top of that. And then when they banned you, they wanted you to buy a new console. They wanted you to buy a new console, and they wanted you to repurchase those games. So now, All of a sudden now they're telling you now, if you got a hard drive connected to this now, if you got a hard drive connected to this, connected to the Xbox One, they're gonna ask you, are you planning on using your hard drive on multiple consoles? You know the reason why they're doing that? They're trying to cover their tracks. Okay? So from the time the Xbox One came out, up until the UK's decision in the Activision Blizzard court case, you could never play you could never play a physical copy. You could never play a physical copy of games offline. You had no control over the system. And that's what Microsoft was doing. Okay? There were people on the internet tried to explain the console ban, but none of them addressed it the way I did. And once I dropped those videos, all of a sudden you seen a change with the Xbox One. Like, oh, you can play your physical games offline now. Why? Because I got at them. The other issue is this too. This Xbox One, the Blu-ray drive on this, it has a deactivation switch. They can shut this off and render the console useless. The Xbox One, the Blu-ray drive has a deactivation switch. Microsoft can shut this off and render the console useless. That's how much layers of confusion they had over you. And all these YouTubers I was talking about the Xbox One, none of them covered it the way I did. None. They were just talking just to be talking. This console here, the Xbox One, is the world's first disposable console, and you had no control over it. The only time you now got control over it now is after the UK's decision in the Activision Blizzard court case. But all that time when I was going at them, they were trying to downplay it like it wasn't affecting them, and it was. Okay, this Blu-ray drive on the Xbox One has a deactivation switch. Okay, and they can shut the drive off, this Blu-ray drive, and render it useless. And then there's an error code too. I think it's like 0x00 and like 4 letters, and they'll try to tell you like, oh, make sure you're using a Blu-ray or DVD disc. If not, download the if not, install the game, install the movie or the game from the app, from the store. That means you got to get on the computer to use it. You can't install this. You can't install it physically. Okay? That's the layers of confusion they had with the Xbox One. Okay? All of a sudden now they're trying to change their tune. The Xbox One is the world's first disposable console, and the consumer had no control over it. Yeah. Okay? This console. Yeah. Xbox One. They were charging you for off and online play. You couldn't even play a physical game offline. But all of a sudden now, they try to so-called change their tunes now. They thought they were invincible until someone really got at them about it. See, people on YouTube were talking about DRMs and console bans and all this, but they never really addressed it. They never broke down the layers of confusion that you were dealing with this console. Okay? The Xbox One X, the Xbox One X has a HDMI problem that the Microsoft engineers needs to fix, and they need to address it. The light will come on, but there's no picture. Okay? The Xbox One X has an HDMI problem that Microsoft engineers need to address. Yeah. Okay? That's the layers of confusion that was happening with this system. Okay? Yeah. So all of a sudden now, you guys can play your physical games now. But before, There were people getting on YouTube doing all this talking, but they never addressed this problem like the way I did it. Okay? I had to get at them like, wait a minute, you're charging people for off and online play? And then they got the nerve to try to give you an option like, oh, you can turn off the internet and go offline. No, you're still online. Offline means there is no internet connection whatsoever, whether it's wirelessly or cabled. That's what offline is. Okay? But this console, the layers of confusion that was on this, man, people didn't even know this. So now when you buy a video game console now, you will know what to look for. But when this came out, you had no control over the system whatsoever. None. Okay? The Xbox One X, the Xbox One X has an HDMI problem that the Microsoft engineers need to address. There's plenty of people out there right now with an Xbox One X, and once that HDMI port port goes out, you can't play your Xbox anymore. You can't play your One X anymore. Yeah. Just saying. That's the problem with the Xbox right now. Okay? Don't get me wrong. I love the design of this system. Love it. But come on now. You can't, a lot of people are not hacking your internet like you think they are, because a server/network administrator has control of the server. They set the rule and the privilege in the games. The average user doesn't have control over the system. The average user on an Xbox One has no control over the system. So the average user shouldn't be punished for something that the server/network administrator is doing. And that's what the Xbox enforcement team was doing. They were banning people that never hacked their internet. They were banning a lot of people that never hacked their internet. Okay, because like when you get into when you're playing online and you get into a game, and if someone leaves, the server goes out and look for the next person that's in the group, and attach the game to that account to keep the match going. But even though the server goes out and attach the person's name to that, attaches itself to that person's to keep the match going, that person still does not have control over the server. Okay? And the Xbox enforcement team was banning people that never hacked their internet. Okay? That never run a mod, or never run a hard mod, soft mod, or never were part of a modders group or a modding group. Now the server administrator or network administrator that controls the server, they can set the lobby up how they want it, and they can have the lobby modded or whatever. They have control over that. But the average user don't have control over the system. It's the server/network administrator user. Okay? Yeah. So Microsoft had people. The reason why they were banning so many people and having people buying brand new Xbox One. Number one, they never wanted you to own the console, and number two, it was designed to keep their sales numbers on their console moving. That's the real truth. Okay? When they banned somebody, okay, they never wanted you to have control of this system. Okay? And number two, the other reason why they banned you is to keep their console numbers, their sales numbers moving. Okay? I would say about everybody that all within, I would say about 100 people, or a couple hundred people, I would say a couple of hundred people that when they play on Xbox One, they probably know how to mod and they know how to hack and all that, but the rest of the users don't. So the rest of the users shouldn't be paying the price for someone that don't shouldn't be paying the price for the person who's really doing the hacking and the cheating online. The Xbox administrators had full control over this system, and the consumer didn't. Okay? You had a physical copy versus digital copy. Okay? That was Microsoft's way to get rid of, trying to get rid of physical copies by not letting you have control over the system. Okay? They wanted you to buy their games digitally, not physically. Okay? Yeah. So when it comes to this Xbox One, there were layers of confusion to keep the consumer confused who don't know this stuff. Okay? This console is the world's first disposable console. Okay? And Microsoft was charging you for off and online play. They never wanted you to control the system. Okay? The network administrators had control of the system. You didn't. All you did was went and bought the system, and you signed up to their internet, but you never had control of it. The network administrators did. They were just sitting in the background, not saying a thing until I brought this up. Okay? When you went and bought this, when you ran to the store and when this came out, and you went to the store and bought this or buy it, you never had control of the system. You thought you did. You thought just because you had the money in your pocket, you ran to the store and paid for it, that you owned it. You never did. So how can you buy something that you never owned? That's the question. How can you buy something that you never owned? And when you signed up to their internet, the network administrators take over. They never said anything. You were just using it. And then you were running into a problem. You tried to play a physical game offline, and you're realizing that you couldn't do it. But you still didn't know what was happening to you. And then Microsoft, now they try to sneak by giving you an offline option while you're online, to make it look like you were offline, but you were never offline. You were still online, because offline means that there is no internet connection whatsoever, wirelessly or cable. That's what offline is. But they had you online, cable and wireless, but then they try to sneak that so-called offline option to make you think that you were offline. You were never offline. You were still online. Okay? They tried to fool you. The Xbox One is the world's first disposable console. The Xbox console ban is a straight scam on the consumer. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Dark side. I'm gone. Peace.